Licensing Act 2005 Special Provision Licensing Provisions Order 2010 says when we operate an over 25 policy, we have to look at a piece of photographic identification with your name and address and age on it. Where did that come from? It came from the same government that was at the same time abolishing the Identity Cards Act of the previous government. And you present your passport or driving license or other official document that's acceptable to them, and the bouncer takes it and prepares to scan it on a machine. You say, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Oh, we can't let you in unless you let us scan your identity documents and keep the information. That's part of our licensing conditions." And this is unfortunately where we are ending up. Try opening a bank account these days. The bank will want a lot of information about you. It doesn't actually want a lot of information about you. When I opened my what was then a Midland bank account in 1984, they said, "Please can you give us your address, sir, so that we can send you some statements." That was all that was required. What has happened is, just as in this bill, if you look at the definition of the age verification regulator in the bill, a vast numbers of powers are given to enforce the age verification, but extremely vague construction about what will be valid age verification. And providers of information and providers of web services, who could be a very wide range, as has already been touched upon, anybody carrying even amateur video, all those very chat room providers and so forth, may be caught by this, will be in the position of having 5% of their turnover or £250,000, whichever is the greater, as a fine from a regulator who has an incentive to fine them. Just as with the banks and know your customer regulation, or the supermarkets and licensed premises with licensing regulation, they will err on the side of caution, which means to say they will take more information than they need, and they will seek to pin, in the way that the official mind works, the identity to the age, to the user. And that is a danger to us all. Not only will more information be collected than is necessary, but it means that we will also lose our capacity to have different personae for different purposes. Has anybody here used a pseudonym in any of their activities? I thought so. Well, sorry, you can't do that anymore. I've met Pandora on a couple of occasions. She's a very nice woman. I get on with her very well, but I have no idea whatsoever what's on her passport. And that's as it should be. We are entitled to be whoever we want to be, and however many people we want to be, as long as we're not doing anybody any harm. And that's no to ID's interest in this. We don't have one identity conferred on us and approved by the state. We have as many identities as we wish.
Thank you very much indeed, Guy Herbert. And I'd just like to introduce our final speaker, who is Siobhan Knox from the Sex Workers Opera. Siobhan, everyone!
Hi everyone! Thank you so much to Miles and Pandora for organising this amazing event. I'm Siobhan. I co-direct Sex Workers Opera, which is a theatre show created and performed by sex workers and allies, telling their real stories in their own words and in their own terms. And so in the show we do actually have a scene which Pandora was posting about on the Facebook group, which is based on the last, when the porn laws actually came in, and it depicts a kind of clueless, misogynistic politician wildly going around censoring our various performers, and like censoring a scene, for example, which is clearly two femmes dominating a businesswoman, and censoring a scene which is clearly two queer women making some amateur porn. But then when it comes to the last scene, which is actually a mainstream patriarchal scene of, you know, a college girl giving a rough blowjob, he kind of leaves it because he's like, well, I can understand that, you know, that's a sort of porn, like nothing wrong there, nothing deviant there, you know. And now this is a scene from a theatre show, but it's based on our members' stories and stories that are sent in from webcam performers, from porn performers of these new laws which are actually affecting them. And the thing is that sex workers are constantly being spoken for and sex workers are constantly being silenced. That's why we created the opera in the first place, to try and let people hear what sex workers actually want, what sex workers need, and stop portraying sex workers in these two-dimensional lights, either really tragic or really victim-y, which actually, you know, takes them away from being actually complex human beings who deserve rights. And the fact that sex workers are silenced and spoken for is also why ECP and countless other sex worker organisations have to, you know, fight tooth and nail to give evidence into Parliament to stop them from bringing in laws that are criminalising clients and will actually make things way more dangerous for sex workers overall, without actually asking sex workers what they want, what they think. And that's exactly the same thing that is bringing in this digital economy bill, which is based on archaic understandings of sex and sexuality, again without actually consulting the people who will be directly affected.